Hey, good day, good day, good day. My name is Mita Kokong, your financial literacy educator, and I'm also your money coach. Welcome to the second part of our topic this month, which is about earning, saving, and interest. So, today I will be talking about saving. So, I know we've talked about saving over and over and over again, and you've heard this concept before, and you feel like it's not for you, and you feel like you don't want to do it because it doesn't work, it doesn't help you achieve anything. But please do allow me and indulge me today as we delve deep into the topic, and hopefully there is a nugget that you will pick up and it will help you to get back into the horse again and start saving. So basically, what is saving? Saving is the act of setting aside a portion of your current income for future use. So it's an act. Underline that word. It's an act. You can't say you're saving if there isn't any action taking place. So it's an act of setting money aside for future use. Then you are saving, right? Whether long term or short term, it's still an act that you have to do, an action that you have to take. So, what are some of the purposes that we save for, right? One, for emergencies. And normally the rule for saving for emergency is that it should be like when you save money, you should have in your savings account your income that is 3 to 6 months. So, meaning the amount of money you have in your savings account, the total amount should be your salary combined for 3 to 6 months, or the amount of you spend on your expenses in total should be 3 to 6 months. So if you're spending 5,000 rand every month for your expenses in your bank account, you should at least have minimum 15,000. If you spend 20,000, then minimum you should be striving towards a goal of having at least 3 months worth of your monthly expenses, which in this case would be 60,000. So that is one of the purposes for emergencies. And two, you want to save to make large purchases like buying a house or buying a car. You want to save. If you buy a house, you're not necessarily saving to maybe buy the house cash. You can if you are looking to buy a cheap house, or buy a stand cheap. Most of the time, if you buy a house that has already been pre-owned, you are saving towards paying the legal fees, transfer costs, conveyancing costs. So if you are able to save to buy a house for 1 million cash, then by all means. But in majority of the time, if you are buying a pre-owned house or a second-hand house, you will need to have the money to pay the conveyancing fees as well. You save as well to plan for retirement, which is more long term. You put away money to ensure that when you go on retirement, you've got enough to live off and you retire financially comfortable as well. So those are some of the reasons. You could be saving for something different. You could be saving to buy yourself shoes. You could be saving so you can buy yourself textbooks when schools open up. Saving yourself to have a deposit to buy a car. So different reasons and different strokes for different people. So what are the benefits? How can we benefit from saving? I know a lot of what I hear about saving is that it's not easy, it's hard, cost of living is too high, but we need to move away from that mentality of thinking that because I want to save, I need to save 1,000 rand. Remember, we first need to develop the habit. However, let me not get ahead of myself. So what are the benefits of saving? One, it provides a safety net against things that could happen in the future, right? Against all the risks. Okay, so why do we save? To ensure that we've got a safety net for any risks that could come up. Number two, it helps to reduce stress and anxiety. So when you've got something in the safety net, your stress becomes a little less, because should anything happen that is outside of your control, you are able to use the money for that. So most of the time, we have found that people fall into a lot of debt because they had emergencies that they had no money to cover. So it helps reduce stress and anxiety. Number three, it offers career flexibility. So what we mean by this is that if I'm in the career of banking and I feel like banking is not for me, and I've got money saved up, I could use that money to go and study for something else that I feel I'm called for while I work, or I can resign and use that money to study and also live off while I do that cause to uplift myself or to change careers. So it provides that flexibility in changing careers when you've got money saved up. It also forms the foundation of it forms the foundation for good wealth creation, right? It forms the foundation for long-term wealth. If you've got something saved up, it's not easily possible for you to just go into debt, and that means that you'll be able to start creating wealth at an earlier stage. Someone who starts off with debt in their financial life sort of spends a lot of time paying debt and therefore delaying their ability to start creating wealth. So there are benefits to saving. We must just have a different perspective about it. We must not stop giving ourselves the excuse that because I'm earning less, therefore I am justified in wasting money, or misusing money, because the little that God has given you should be enough to develop some financial discipline. I always say, if someone who earns 5,000 can do greater things than someone who earns 40,000, then it means the issue is not that there is no money. The issue is that we lack the discipline and the knowledge to spend or use money wisely. Okay, so what are some of the rules that we can apply to help us ensure that we actually achieve our saving goals, whether short term or long term? So know your why. So this has always been the gospel I preach. Know your why. Why am I saving? Is it for short term or long term? If it is for short term, what is the specific reason? Am I saving to finish the short term debt that I have, to settle it in a few months? Am I saving to buy myself sneakers? Am I saving to build an extra room in my mother's yard so that I don't have to live in the house with my siblings anymore? I can have my own private space. What am I saving for? And how much do I need for that goal? And how long is it going to take me to actually achieve that goal? Know your why. The why assists you with the discipline that you need to maintain, because especially if the goal is long, the term is long, you can get demotivated in the process. So knowing your why will help you to remain being motivated. Automate your process. Do not tell yourself that you will transfer the money, especially if you know yourself. When you see the money, you just want to spend it, right? And your savings account, it's fine if you've got a savings pocket attached to your income account, your salary account with a savings pocket. It's fine if you're disciplined enough to be able to see it and not use it. But if you know that the moment you see it, you're going to want to use it, rather get a different banking savings account with a separate bank so that it's not attached to your normal salary account. Do not say you will transfer, automate. Do a stop order from your bank account into that savings account so that you don't give yourself the opportunity to skip, because there will be times where you are tempted to skip. Use reputable banks. Don't use companies or banks or financial institutions you do not know. Use the reputable ones that you know. There are stokvels that you use, provided those stokvels have got a bank account that is registered on several members' names. I know there's stokvels as well where you can save money and you borrow each other money, and then at the year end everybody pays the interest and then you get money. It's good if it's amongst people you trust, but it can be quite unsafe if it's money that circulates our hand. It's not money that is saved in a bank account, because anything can happen and someone can use that money, and the next thing, it's the stories that we hear nowadays. Create a budget. That's one of the ways that, or the rules that are in place to ensure that you save your money. Because I can say I want to save 700 rand, only when I draft my budget I realize I don't have 700 rand, I only have 100 rand. If I've got 100 rand, I save 100 rand. It's financial suicide to save 50% of your income, because you are strangling yourself, burdening yourself, and it's going to be very difficult for you to develop the habit of saving when you start with such a higher goal. Set clear goals. I made an example earlier. You want to save, right? That is your goal. How much do you want to save? I want to save 1,000 rand. Okay. how much, by when do I need to be, this 1,000 rand, I need it in 6 months, or I need it in 12 months. How much do I need to save every month in order to get 1,000 rand by December? You divide your 1,000 rand by 12 months to know how much you need to take from your salary every month and put away for your savings to achieve your financial goal. So be clear on your goals. Start small and build the habit. Start small and build the habit. It's all about building the habit. Don't go for 50% of your salary when you've never saved 50 rand in your life. You will always go back and use the money, because that money is too much for you to save when you are starting out. If you don't have the habit of saving, money is about habit. If you don't have the habit of saving, you will not be able to save 50% of your salary and continue and be consistent with that goal, especially if you are used to earning a salary. Maybe if you're starting out and it's your first salary and you don't have any expenses, and you just get 50% and you put it away. Maybe it's possible, but 50% of salary is very much heavy to start with. So as I said, money is about habit, right? And how do we develop these habits? So 3 things that I'm going to mention. 1, we've got the cue. So the cue is the trigger that inspires the action. So because we're talking about money, for example, your salary would be the cue causing you to go to take action, and your action would be to spend. So your cue is that salary or that SMS comes in of the money notification, then you go and spend. So it means your salary notification is your cue to actually take action, and the action would be to spend. And then, so most of the time, unfortunately, we are all triggered by our salary notification or any money notification. And that means we are cued to go spend. It's in very small quantities where you find someone, when they receive money, when they receive a salary, they are cued to go and invest or to go and save. We always start with spending instead of investing or saving. So your cue is that external factor that nudges you towards action. You can assess yourself, think, what nudges me towards action? What is the trigger? What is that external factor that causes me to spend money? Number 2 point that pushes us, that pushes the behavior, that causes the behavior, is the behavior itself. Establishing a habit requires meaningful action, right? So meaningful means intentional. So when a behavior is established, it means there was an action that was intentional, that was taken. So you intentionally went shopping, therefore the behavior started, right? Triggered by your salary notification. To make an action stick, your behavior needs to be considered and deliberate. Intentionality. You need to define your intention. You need to be specific, meaning give it a time frame and the amount, and also take it slow. So in you taking these steps to develop a behavior until it becomes a habit, there are things that you did, and I mentioned 1 is the trigger, which is the cue. 2 is the actual behavior that you repeatedly did, and you did it intentionally, so right. And the 3rd one would be the reward. So you got the trigger, which is the cue, you took the action, and after that it became a behavior because you did it every month. When you got the salary, you did it every month, sometimes aware, sometimes unaware. And then thereafter, it's the reward, how it makes you feel after you have done it. So in cases whereby you are trying to change this behavior, you could use the reward as a way, to motivate yourself towards this change. For example, there's something I've learned when I researched this, is that you should not use you should use a carrot and not a stick to incentivize yourself. So don't be hard on yourself. Give yourself a reward in order to motivate you towards doing better. So do not use a stick, but use a carrot. Meaning, don't beat yourself up whenever you find yourself that you've overspent when you were planning to maybe not overspend that month, but rather look for something that you can be happy about, that you did well, and reward yourself for that. Don't focus on the negative. So give yourself a reward. Okay, so the reward system is there to help us push ourselves, right, to do better every day, one step at a time. Focus on your progress and celebrate each milestone. This will help your behavior over time. Don't look to celebrate only when it's big, even if it's small. Each and every day is a battle, and we battle to become better people, better parents, better wife, husband, better colleague, better manager, better business owner, better pastor, whatever. We strive every day to become better, and we need to reward ourselves. Even for just being able to wake up and show up, we should be able to reward ourselves and thank God for the ability to do better. So it is particularly important when saving for long term. When you save long term, you can get demotivated in the middle of time, and that means that you might want to stop saving, get tired because it takes long. So the reward keeps you motivated to continue. Remember your why. Your why will remind you, no, remember we need to get that 1,000 rand by the end of the year. So don't get demotivated. Come, let's go. Put away that 100 rand. Put away that 100 rand. So that is our lesson for today. We need to understand what our cues are. We need to understand the behaviors that we have that end up being habits. And we need to understand what are the things that we do to reward these bad or these good habits, so that we know how to get rid of them. So thank you very, very, very much for joining. Remember, we are still on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and we are also on LinkedIn. Your Personal Finances, both on Instagram and Facebook. We are called New Ground Financial Literacy on LinkedIn, and on YouTube it's Creating Wealth with Mita Kokong. So thank you very, very much, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends, family members as well to come and join us as we learn together. There is still more that we're going to learn, and I really hope that you enjoy the content. Thank you. Goodbye.